We are the people! We are the people! We are the people!
If you want to rattle a snake, you must be prepared to be bitten by it.
Did you really bring your mind to bear? Did you really focus and understand what you were doing? So that when you made the decision, you were convinced, whether wrong or right, you were convinced that you understood the situation.
Intolerance. We are brewing intolerance. Ukisikia mtu hataki kusikia upinzani wa chochote, hiyo si nzuri. Hata soka haiwezi chezwa kama timu sio mbili.
We call upon every Kenyan to be tolerant. Democracy cannot operate unless we are tolerant. You tolerate your friend, your neighbor, to have an opinion different from yours.
What's up, my people? How you doing? How have you been? Proactive is the name of the show. I am your host, as usual, Timo. Elsie, what's up?
Hi.
How you doing?
Well, and
stop texting Bay when we are just about to start.
No, I'm not texting him.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, everything is cool.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but we are here now. Yeah. I mean, last time we left the country in shambles, man. A lot has been happening.
A lot keeps happening, yeah?
Every time.
Every single time. When we come back, there's always something new. There's always something that's trending on the lips of Kenya. Something related to governance, and of which our show is all about governance.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited about today's show. And dear listeners, as we promised last time, today we are here to discuss the judiciary.
I almost thought like we are prophets, man. Every time we mention a chapter, something just controversial has to happen in the process.
Yeah, because judiciary is currently trending.
Yeah, let's do a quick highlight. 6 guys.
One Chief Justice was appointed, so she's 2 weeks into office, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Into office.
Yeah, 2 of 3 years of learning how things work.
Then, or maybe we should start with the BBI judgment, because it also has a lot to do with the judiciary. So BBI judgment delivered, reggae stopped unless the Court of Appeal reverses the High Court's decision. Chief Justice is appointed. Then the President gazettes the names that he has been sitting on for 2 years.
2 years straight.
2 years ever since the JSC recommended the names. They were 41 judges. Unfortunately, one passed on. So now they were 40. Out of the 40, he nominated
mtu for 2 years akuappoint mpaka unakufa.
Kuna mtu amekufa tu akingoja
kukonfirmiwe. What madness is this?
That's unfortunate.
And then out of the 40, 6 guys decide.
He appointed 6, and you know that's really sparked a
appointed
debate.
6.
Appointed.
No, did not appoint.
No. Appointed 34
exactly.
And left out 6 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
2 of which were saying no to reggae.
Yeah, interestingly, out of the 6 who are left out, 2 of them, Justice Joel Ngugi and Justice Odunga, were in the BBI bench. The bench that decided
You're about to go
BBI.
do orals at some point. Alafu ndio utaangusha hivi.
I have to practice.
Practice
sometime in November.
But yeah, and then
he left them out, and of course, people, the whole thing of leaving out a few judges has really sparked a debate, because as per the constitution, as per Article 166, which makes provision for appointment of judges, it uses the word shall. That the JSC shall recommend, and then the president shall appoint. So JSC conducts the interviews, forwards the names to the president. Then the president's role is to appoint.
You started touching on what we are going to teach. We are going to be there about teach, not
highlights.
Really discuss about. We're still on the highlights.
Okay.
Getting to see what the JSC is doing, and then all of a sudden he had people putting it as a personal vendetta, and not giving us the fact that he's not giving us clear reasons as to why he did not appoint them, puts it at a turmoil.
But we've heard that he's got intel. I don't know.
Intel is not enough, because then they're brought back and reviewed, because if it's intel to say that they're not credible, they shouldn't continue serving.
And I think for that reason, JSC has probably had meetings this week, and will probably have meetings next week to probably look into the conduct of these other
specific judges. And then there's a whole process of how they are removed from.
But some of these judges who are left out are actually I cannot say that Well, I can't
You are about to give unverified
either
information, dear
confirm-
listeners.
No. I cannot confirm nor deny their credibility. I cannot attest because I've not interacted with them. But I know for sure some of them have bagged some serious awards, like Justice Odunga, you know, from Jurist of the Year award. They have been recognized by various by the civil societies, by agencies. They've gotten awards even for their judgments, which are always which are more often than not very reasonable. You know,
Right.
I think I heard that during the interview was even asked. Okay, we'll get into that.
We get to that.
We're still in the highlights.
More into what else
highlights.
happened along the way.
We had the former chief justices also
Oh.
agitated by what
know,
happened.
All of a sudden, people think it's an attack on the new chief justice.
Exactly, and they're feminists. Pana today mezidi.
But they don't start it that
no,
way.
did you see? Because
saw.
I'm like, where's
But it's even the
the
credibility.
gender equality
The
debates
credibility
coming
of
here?
the organization was even questioned because maendeleo ya wanawake,
Manze,
we know where it
hapana.
came from
Hapo
and how long
mmezidi.
it's
Hapo,
been here.
I'm a woman, and by the ladies, hata kama ni
It's a
attention
matter of
tunataka,
defending the
tusizidi.
constitution.
This one is all about the constitution.
Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, former chief justices have been males. So just because they're males and they're speaking out,
But we never looked at the agenda.
yeah, it's not all about gender. They are speaking in their capacity as the former chief justice, not because I think the one who's in office currently cannot handle this matter. Nonetheless, the one who's currently in office today has spoken. I don't know whether you've seen.
Haven't seen it.
She has given word, I think, during the was it swearing in of the Court of Appeal judges? Yeah, the Court of Appeal judges. They had a ceremony today at the Court of Appeal, and she actually spoke, and in her own words, she said that the president ought to appoint.
Was the
other
president
seats.
there?
I think I can't. I can't exactly recite the exact words,
But we'll check into it. We'll share with people.
I remember what she said. Today is I'm just paraphrasing. Today is a good day. Today is a joyous day.
My question is, was the
But-
president there?
No, the president was not
So
there.
amengoja mpaka
But by the
president
way,
hayuko ndio aweze
I
kuongea.
think we should also mention, after the president made gazetted the names, appointment was the following day, last Friday.
After 2
on
years
Friday.
of waiting.
So appointment on Thursday, swearing in on Friday at State House. Why were they sworn in so quickly?
2 years of waiting and then all of a sudden
Ni kama ni
mnakimbishwa
207.
We
You
know what's
remember
going on,
207 how
man.
swearing in
We
happened?
know what's going on.
Swearing in will happen too. Like
Let's
that.
not allude
Let's
to
not.
anything. NMS has been
declared
unconstitutional.
unconstitutional. Yeah, and
But
by
a
the
lot of
way,
things. Look.
interestingly, Timo, this morning I was thinking about what's happening. I mean, of course, I'm always thinking about what's happening in Kenya politically and legally. But this morning, honestly speaking, I was just taking my breakfast and just thinking, is it really a good thing that, we have a president who disregards court orders? Because someone told me to also look at things, not just strictly because not just on the positivist side. Positivism means the law as it is, but to also think about the benefits of.
I genuinely feel it's not like for the greater good of the people when it's being. Let me tell you,
what
Elsie.
came to my mind, NMS. NMS is an illegality. Even I was even surprised, the court made that decision, and this morning I was just pondering on it, just saying it's an illegality. But it's an illegality that's been there for the good of us Nairobians. Because
Has it though?
honestly, no. I think NMS is so much better than what we would have had we still had the governor that we had, the socialite governor that we had.
Look, the law
So
was
NMS
there.
is an illegality that I gladly accept.
This
and
is
I'm
a side
grateful
show
to
that
the
we are
president.
getting into, and we can get into it later. I mean, I think the AG is not really consulting and advising the president in anything, because all these things from the formation all the way to them being implemented without following the rule of law. What are you doing as an AG? You're the advisor to the president. Let it be that you advised the president in the right manner and he refused to listen to your advice. But we haven't had anything from AG when such things happen. And I mean, we can't just pick every time the military is doing something great, we work with them. They will become the law.
Do you know our AG?
What's his name again? I forgot his name. Oh, man.
Okay. Do you know the former AG? Before the one who's currently in office.
Before Wako,
No,
after
before
Wako. the Gaga guy.
Githu Muigai.
Muigai. I call him the Gaga guy. I'm
know,
so bad. I'm sorry.
All I wanted to say is that, the last 2 ages, I think were a bit more vibrant and a bit more out there than the one that we have currently.
What's his name though?
Justice. He's a former judge of, I think, the High Court or Court of Appeal, I don't know. But Justice Paul Kihara.
That's by the way.
So he's currently that.
As we were doing the briefing, that's the third question I wanted to ask, because for me, for sure, the AG, what's his work if he can't advise the executive?
He's the chief advisor to
if he
the
is the
government,
chief advisor,
to the executive.
why is he
actually
advising the
sits in the cabinet.
So why is he advising the executive on starting things that will still be considered
Is the
unconstitutional?
head of the executive even seeking legal advice? You never know.
Well, we've seen him. Sorry to say this, but he's always trying to manipulate everything. He has the legislative right now, and he's doing his best to get the judiciary on his side instead of allowing things to run independently and work like codependently in the end. But Mans is not trying to follow the law anymore. He's not about that life.
He's literally sitting on the constitution. There was a set book that I did back in high school, by the name Caucasian Chalk Circle, and there was a judge by the name Azdak who'd sit on the constitution as he will decide the cases, meaning he will not really have any regard for the constitution as he will make his decision.
I was waiting for that
Now-
punchline. I couldn't get the symbolism of sitting on the constitution.
Now we
What?
have a president who's literally sitting on the constitution and mtanipeleka wapi,
Yeah.
Side
shows along the way before we start on chapter 10, where Guru's bodyguards were beating up a local for just asking about constituency funds and government county funds.
Oh, wow.
Man,
sijasikia hiyo.
didn't paint a good picture, manze. Total sideshow. Maybe we can handle it later on. I like predicting things, and then we get into the show later on. Unasikia, we're back to the county and the funds. Yeah, but I don't think there's much more. We heard of the threats, what sounded like a threat during the Madaraka Day celebrations, of which he took them to Kisumu, where now COVID has struck and it's pretty high, and restrictions are coming in. And all of a sudden, some things are just, they're predictable, but they still do it. And then all of a sudden they feel like moving on swiftly. But yeah, we heard about the threats. Somewhat threats.
And and fortunately, I feel like the executive can only revisit the judiciary in terms of budget. By the way, that's also something that happened.
But parliament, uko chini.
Yesterday, the CS Ambassador Ukuri Atani read out the proposed budget in parliament. But that's again a story for another day.
For sure. Because
right now we want to get into the judiciary.
Let's get into chapter 10. We'll touch on that because the judiciary fund is still, and we know parliament now is not parliament as it should be. Look, question number 1. Let's start
with an introduction.
I thought we have done the introduction. What are you talking about?
Okay, this is the introduction to the judiciary.
Sorry.
No. We all did. When you were GHC, I did social studies.
Wow.
So when we did social studies,
hold up. Kwani tunaandikana miaka zetu sahi? Can we just have a good show without throwing shade? What's up with people today?
I just wanted to ask, did you learn the 3 arms of government? Because I think every Kenyan should know what the 3 arms of government are, because it's something that's taught at primary level.
Perfect way
you
to
taught
start.
Back in the day?
Si nimezitaja hata tukiongea hapo. Unajua yetu hata ikuwa inaitwa legislative, tulikuwa tunaita legislature.
It's still known as the legislature.
Na kama we ni wa Mount Kenya, hiyo jina unajua hapo pati ya mwisho ulikuwa unasumbuka.
Yeah. So we have 3 arms of government. Our constitution, one of the basic or the fundamental features of our constitution is the feature of separation of powers. Separation of powers, that's a whole legal doctrine, and I don't want to get into it, but basically what it means is that we have a government that has 3 separate arms that function independently and interdependently, because in one way or another they cannot totally function independently. The judiciary, for example, needs the funding from the ministry, from the treasury, which falls under the executive. So they ought to function independently, but also in a way interdependently.
Okay.
And there's also a system of checks and balances in which they check and balance one another. For example, the president appoints the judges of the judiciary. That is one way in which the executive is checking the judiciary. So they have to function independently and interdependently. Yes. So now, I don't know if you... I think it's important before we get into your questions that I highlight one of the most important features of the judiciary as per the constitution is its independence, because we are always talking about its independence. And we've had politicians coming to tell us that no, the judiciary cannot be independent. When the judges leave, after the judges have made a decision, they are taken home by the policemen. Oh, the judiciary cannot be... I think there was a politician who literally said that we should elect the judges of the judiciary.
And an unconstitutional cabinet, assistant cabinet secretary. I know that guy. That guy pissed me off.
Is it a cabinet or a chief administrative secretary?
These guys that were considered
unconstitutional. Someone occupying an unconstitutional
going
office.
back to say now, let's elect these judges now.
Literally, judges on the ballot. Okay, I elect so and so to be a judge of the High
All
Court,
of a sudden,
judge of Court of Appeals.
Feels like he wants to render the work of the JSC.
What school did you go to?
He wants to render the work of the JSC off. Mark JSC is busy even creating workshops for judges, training, sijui nini, making sure that you all go through school, which is hell to some extent, for you to come and then all of a sudden have to campaign to be elected.
To be a judge. Manzi. So I think it's important that we discuss the independence of the judiciary. If you ask me, in my opinion, this is the one provision in the constitution that really protects the judiciary. So the judiciary is independent. It is independent. Article 160 of the constitution. One of the ways in which the independence of the judiciary is guaranteed, first of all, it provides that the judiciary shall only be subject to the constitution and the law, and shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority, including the president, including the executive, including parliament. The judiciary cannot be controlled by the other arms of government. Secondly, the office of a judge of a superior court. Superior courts are the High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. So the office of a judge of a superior court shall not be abolished while there is a substantive holder of the office. So what does that? What that means is, for example, if just assuming the executive is not happy with the office of the Chief Justice, that is not happy with, let's say, Lady Justice Martha Koome, thinks, okay, why do we even have a Chief Justice? This thing is a foreign concept. Let's put something else. They cannot abolish that office while Martha Koome is still there. So they will have to wait for Martha to finish her term for them to abolish the office. And the same applies also to, assuming they want to even change the constitution of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has 7 judges. I think, right now they have 7 judges. And assuming they think, maybe we should have... maybe we should just have 5 judges in the Supreme Court. 7 is too much.
7, but you're counting the Chief Justice
and the Chief Justice is Chief Justice and the Deputy are members of the Supreme Court too. So they also cannot abolish the office of... let's say Njoki Ndung'u, she's there and as a Supreme Court judge, there are 7 in total, and then maybe the parliament thinks it's time that we only have 5 judges in the Supreme Court. That cannot amount to one of the 7 judges losing office, like Njoki or Mohammed Ibrahim or the other judges. They cannot lose office while they are still holding, while they are still alive, while they are still holding their offices. Third, the remuneration and benefits payable to or in respect of judges shall be a charge on the consolidated fund. I think we once discussed this fund when we were tackling public finance. That should have been
it's the last part.
year.
It's the last one, what they call the judicial fund, huko mwisho. in chapter 10 wakiongea venye itatumika.
No, but is the judicial fund even there? Has it been established?
Good question. Hata ndio nilikuwa nataka
I
kuuliza.
am not sure, but the consolidated fund does exist.
Okay.
Yes, most of our taxes go into the consolidated fund. Even the budget that was read yesterday will mostly be funded by the consolidated fund.
All right.
Then I think, the remuneration and benefits payable to or in respect of a judge shall not be varied to the disadvantage of that judge, and the retirement benefits of a retired judge shall not be varied to the disadvantage of the retired judge during the lifetime of the retired judge. And that's why I think we have brave and courageous former Chief Justice. Two of them actually. They did not shy away from calling out the president, Mr. Former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga. Mr. President, please, in the name of the Constitution, swear in the judges. Where did he get the audacity, the courage? He's protected.
Yes.
Because even if the president is unhappy, the president cannot do anything that will amount of his retirement benefits. For example, pension. The pension that anakula haita reduce. Sijui how much. I know it's millions, but it cannot be reduced
Tusiongelele
even by
kitu
a million.
hatujui.
I don't know, but you understand what you mean by
I get
retirement
what
benefits.
you mean, yeah.
Or niliona office of the former chief justice. I didn't know that the former chief justices have offices.
Allah.
Niliona imeandikwa hapo office
Yes.
of the former chief. I was like, okay, I know of the presidents of
And
the
that's
US.
why they can speak up because it's an advisory.
Trump, for example, can speak and say office of the
Yes.
in fact office of the I think president.
Wewe
or
unaweza
former
achilia watu
president.
wako na hiyo knowledge yote after retirement waende tu hivyo tu wakachili.
So that office, if at all it exists, cannot be abolished, to the detriment of Justice Willie Mutunga.
All right.
Then finally, a member of the judiciary is not liable in an action or suit in respect of anything done or omitted to be done in good faith in the lawful performance of a judicial function. So even with the BBI judgment, I think many people were taken aback when Justice Joel Ngugi kept calling out the president for failing to honor Chapter 6, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. No one can take him to court for that. He cannot be liable because he did it. He did it in performance, in good faith, and in performance of a lawful action.
For sure.
Now we can get into your question, and I hope, dear listeners, you've understood
Where?
why the judiciary is independent and why, in as much as right now some of these judges are not in good graces with the president, they are still serving as judges, and they cannot lose their positions unless JSC decides that they're losing their positions after conducting, but we shall get into removal from office.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're going next, and I think we can touch on it and try join them. I don't know how we are going to do it because I know the biggest question for people is with the appointment, how we saw the whole process, so we're not gonna get into the process, but we've seen people questioning the Chief Justice right now, and we've seen even cartoon extracts coming out of they're making it look like she's just playing to the tune of the executive and discrediting her this early. And so I was trying to just join both, like the removal from office, what really merits that point where she can be removed, and how does the process come, because you can cry foul as much as you want, but if she's doing everything in accordance to the law, everything is cool.
Yeah, everything is good.
And there's not much you can do. And then now we can get now to the JSC, because we can see that the JSC now is being declared, they're making it look like they don't know what they're doing, because they can't sit all of a sudden appoint 41 people.
Guess what? Even the Attorney General, who sits in the President's cabinet, sits in JSC and has a say as to whose name is forwarded to the President.
Surely. So maybe the biggest question I have, once she is in office, what is the biggest role that the Chief Justice has?
I think we discussed this some 2 or 3 episodes ago.
I think so.
When they were being interviewed, and I mentioned that the Chief Justice is not just the President of the Supreme, is the head of the judiciary. And it is her role, it is her duty to Kenyans to ensure that all Kenyans can access justice. Yeah.
Now this
That is the
more-
biggest. But now, getting into governance or even how she's running the judiciary, remember, every other judge in the judiciary is now answerable to her.
Yeah.
Remember also, now that she's in office, she's also in JSC. She's the chair of JSC. And she's the president of the Supreme Court.
So what happens when the president all of a sudden makes it look like she didn't know what she's doing?
Well, why would the president do that? But
Hey,
anyway,
she's-
what haven't we seen in Kenya
The
anyway?
executive as it
Nini
is right
hatujaona
now,
huku
you know.
Kenya. But should that happen?
It shouldn't be happening.
Stay in the executive. Everyone should stick to their lane. We'll see lawyers, you
Yeah.
know, and we'll see the civil society. We'll see the public, members of the public like you and I, encouraging the president to stick to his lane
Yeah.
and to allow the president of the Supreme Court to also stick to her lane, which is the judiciary.
And of course, there are
different
people
arms
who,
of government.
There are people who've turned it into a smear campaign, trying to say that the judiciary now is turning into a political body, which is not the case.
It's not really turning into a political body, but we have some politicians trying to make it a political body. Yeah, they're making it a political body.
And they're trying to turn it against the judiciary. I feel like this question I might ask might be so much of an opinion than laying the truths on the ground. Is it right for Kenyans right now to say that she is toeing to the line of the executive and not doing her job?
No. It's too early.
It's too
Because
early.
what can we say? How can we prove that she is dancing to the tunes of the executive?
I think Kenyans...
What do we have to say, you know, in our favor?
Yeah.
There's nothing we can say about that because, I mean, I've not seen her siding with the executive over the people or over the judiciary. Again, like I said, today during the ceremony they had at the Court of Appeal, in her words, okay, not the exact words, paraphrasing, we are glad, the Court of Appeal, the number of Court of Appeal judges has increased, and, she was just having a good time with the Court of Appeal judges and said it's a good day, but not for everyone because four of us are not here. Four meaning four judges who are to be promoted to the Court of Appeal but had been left out.
I think
that is
they
Justice Weldon
expected her to
Korir.
swoop in like a superhero and save the day instantly.
I think what Kenyans really expected, even the ones that are really judging her harshly, is that they expected her to probably even have said this last week. She's saying it today. I feel like today, this is the day that her stand is coming out clear. Her stand regarding the matter has come out clearly. That she wants the 6 judges to also be so. The 6, 4 judges and I think 2 magistrates. The 6 who are left out to be sworn in. But
from an opinion point,
if she ever listens to the podcast, I think Justice
she will one day. Watch her. Hold up. I want to throw in my opinion, even as much as we try to move away from opinion. And I think it was right for her to slow things down and let the heat cool down before she can speak.
Really?
Because
as a Kenyan,
it's not right. It's not for.
She should have been the first to release a press statement.
For sure, but don't speak at the heat of the moment, because all of a sudden it kind of.
Okay, it's always wiser to
chill. It doesn't.
But now see the effects of chilling. People have judged her harshly. Yeah. Harshly, people are saying that she's failed even before she's received her first salary as the
But
Chief
we agree,
Justice.
Kenyans react too soon. It's too soon. Hata mimi nilireact
I'm sure somebody somewhere was telling her pole inauma, but itabidi uzoe. This is how it will be now for the next 9 years. She has 9 years to be in the judiciary.
Yeah.
And
I like that removal from office is a due process that will validate. Even if we try and get angry right now and we say that atoke aende,
atatoka too, just like that. And not just her, even these other judges who, if we are unhappy with a judge, for example, somebody somewhere is unhappy with the judgment that NMS is unconstitutional, you will have to go through a process to deal with the judge. But nonetheless, at least we have, you can still have a judge removed. Even you as Timo, me as Elsie, as a common mwananchi, as a litigant meaning someone who's going to take your case in court and all that. you can still have a judge removed if you have valid reasons for the removal of the judge.
I like
And,
the fact that you have to petition via the JSC.
yeah, you have to go to JSC, then JSC will investigate. If
And then-
JSC finds the judge culpable, then he shall be removed from office. Article 168 provides the process. Yes, so it says that a judge of a superior court, again, remember superior court is Supreme
The
Court,
three,
High
Supreme,
Court, Court of Appeal,
and Court of Appeal, yeah.
may be removed from office on grounds of inability to perform the function of office arising from mental or physical incapacity, a breach of a code of conduct prescribed for judges of the superior courts by an act of parliament, bankruptcy, incompetence, or gross misconduct or behavior.
Yeah.
So I think JSC should be looking into this with regard to the 6 who are left out.
Yes.
Because rumor has it there's intel on them, so JSC has to, come.
This intel has to be, because
Otherwise, if
establishment-
at all they're incompetent, if at all they've they've committed acts that amount to gross misconduct, or they've misbehaved in the past, then I don't see why they should still be seated in the High Court. Because now they're seated in the High Court, they're still in the High Court.
Yo.
Yeah.
And I mean, the JSC is very inclusive of a lot of members. So when it even comes, there's actually some soberness in that whole group of members. And for sure, it makes sense for us when, well, ideally, I prefer to see how they have chosen to elect members of the JSC, which is nice. I could see the Chief Justice who works as the chairperson, a Supreme Court judge, a Court of Appeal judge, a High Court judge, the AG, 2 advocates with at least
LSK.
15 years experience. One person nominated by the PSC, Public Service Commission, guys. A woman and one man to represent the public, not being lawyers, and appointed by the president.
Appointed by who?
The president.
Subject to the National Assembly.
the approval
but,
of
but appointed, I want you to underline, appointed by the president. So these 2 people, plus the AG, and I think I had this being discussed by Yvonne Okwara on Citizen. The president is overrepresented in JSC because he appoints 2 representatives. Then there's the AG who sits in his cabinet, who should actually be a confidant of some sort, because
Yes.
after the deputy president, he should be tied with the attorney general. They have given these names. Now, what grounds do you have to reject these names? Then you should have told these representatives in the first place. You should have leaked the intel to the people you appointed to represent you in JSC. Sijui kama unaelewa kitu nasema, Timo.
Nakupata, manze.
Hii intel tungewapatia so that the names of these
Here's
people are apparently incompetent don't make it to the final list that has been forwarded to the president.
True. But you see, hata at the end of it all, when he nominates, bado anapitia kwa the legislative members of parliament, lazima pia waangalia ase.
Okay, wenye ana appoint.
Yes.
Yes.
So siwezi kaeka tu ati lawama yote.
Aye.
You have to be approved by the National Assembly. It's all I'm saying.
Sasa our president, as we know, CEO National Assembly is in his pocket. Si imejazwa hivi, he's a party leader for Jubilee.
And that's why we are here, chapter 10, the last line of defense, the judiciary. We are here for you guys.
The judiciary kianguka, we are done for as Kenyans.
We bana,
We are done for.
haitafika hapo. Wacha tuseme haitafika hapo. What else am I leaving? Because for me, this were one of those crucial things that I needed to point out to guys and show them how in-depth the JSC is, and for the president to come and do the stance that he's doing wasn't making sense for me at all. I'm going through the chapters just to see something that I've left out in terms of the Judicial Service Commission. Maybe something you want to highlight.
I think what we should also discuss with our listeners is on appointment of the judges, so that they really understand this role that JSC plays. Yes, we've told them that JSC recommends, and those who are keen and interested also saw the JSC playing its role just a month ago, sitting down to interview. Even the list of 41 2 years ago, they actually sat down and interviewed each and every one of them. So, yeah, we should discuss appointment of Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, and other judges.
But
I think right now I want us to focus on judges, because that's what's really trending.
Because the judges one is a trending one. And then also for the Chief Justice, we saw the whole rigorous process as it was.
Yes.
And maybe guys got an idea of how it looks when it comes to the JSC, then moves to the executive, then moves to parliament first.
Then
to the
back to the executive for confirmation.
Yeah. So that one was very clear.
Another
maybe
way
for
in
the
which the arms of the government interact with each other.
Yes. So maybe for the judges now.
Okay. So Article 166 states that the president shall appoint. Shall. What do you understand by shall?
Mi shall yenye unatumia mi sishiki nini unataka
Shall,
niseme.
if you shall to me is directory. Timo shall give me his phone.
So I must. Sio ati
it's not
hakuna ati
optional.
nini au nini lazima nitakupatia.
Yeah, itabidi to like you don't have if I say may, then maybe.
Okay.
If he wants, if he doesn't want, if he's able. But shall is, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. Actually, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. You remember we were taught knee-jerk reactions.
As per the interpretation, you're saying that he's not supposed to reject anyone.
It's not optional. It's not optional. The president shall appoint the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice, then all other judges in accordance with the recommendation of the JSC. In accordance with the recommendation of the JSC. So it is JSC to recommend to the president. Elsie qualifies to be a judge. Timo is competent. Timo is qualified. We have interviewed. We think he is competent to be a member of to be a judge in the Employment and Labor Relations Court. So and so qualifies to be a judge in, the Court of Appeal. That's what JSC does. It recommends and sends the list.
So
then the president appoints, and when the president appoints, the names are gazetted in the Kenya Gazette.
The big question on everyone's mind is he allowed to do what he did? Can he reject anyone?
Usually lawyers love to say, the law is clear. In this case, seemingly the law is not clear. The law is not as clear. Because if it says shall, how most people have interpreted it, including our former Chief Justices, is that he cannot reject a name because JSC has recommended, and his only role, knee-jerk reaction, umepewa and immediately appoint,
I get you.
But what he did, he really overstayed with the list, and
2 years, manze. 2 years
without valid reasons, no valid explanation, and then of course, having discussed this with other people with different opinions, one of the people I know raised this question. Why is the list forwarded to him if he's not supposed to have an opinion? If he's
that's where I was coming next.
If he's allowed to have an opinion, then if at all he's allowed, and if the court interprets that Article 166 allow him to have an opinion, then he would have all the rights to, picking so and so, and I'm not picking so and so to cherry pick. But how most people are interpreting the Constitution, and which I think is also the right way we should interpret this Constitution, he does not have a choice. Hiyo
ndio part nilikuwa nakuja next.
It's just a ceremonial role. Yeah, we are just giving you respect, as we are acknowledging that you're the one who heads this country, who's the leader, who's the head of government,
and he still has power enough, because delaying.
So all we just need you to do, I think, in a way, the drafters of the Constitution, and of course we Kenyans, we the ones that who gave ourselves this Constitution as per the preamble. All we wanted to do was just to ensure that there's a good working relationship between the executive and the judiciary, and for there to be that good working relationship, we don't want to function again totally independently, like we don't need you guys. we actually need you guys. So just to enhance that relationship, so what you'll be doing, you'll be appointing.
You know what we have to do?
You get?
You know what we have to do?
Uh-huh.
We have to have a part 2. Time is far much spent.
Okay.
You know it's the truth.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, but I'd like to ask you one question as we
conclude.
Do you feel like this is one part or one clause of the Constitution that needs to be amended?
No, I don't
Because-
think it needs to be amended.
Yeah.
I think we need is an advisory opinion from the Supreme Court.
That can interpret it and it would have a finality on how we move forward.
Yes, because
Because-
the Supreme Court also, as I was learning during my classes, interestingly this week, that an advisory opinion ought to be binding.
It should be binding. Because
That's a legal
it's
debate. For
but it's
another day.
experts who've sat down
But
and
it's advice.
anyway.
So the
And-
Supreme Court has powers to, just advise. Article 166 states this. Any question regarding interpretation of the Constitution, so they can interpret this article for us and tell us whether it leaves room for the president to have an opinion. And I think the government, if you read Article 163 on the Supreme Court, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
You'll see that it is only the government agencies that can seek for that advisory opinion. So I think maybe Parliament, please
Don't exhaust it. Well, we need
Parliament
to think through.
can seek for that advisory opinion so that they quickly interpret for us Article
It's crazy.
166. And if they tell us that he has to have an opinion and his opinion should be respected, well and good. Nonetheless, at least we know, even if he does not like Justice Odunga, Justice Weldon Korir, Justice Joel Ngugi, which other judge was left out?
I can't remember the other one.
He cannot interfere with the offices that they hold currently. So they continue to be justices of the High Court.
All right.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a lot of questions I really need to ask. I mean, I feel like we haven't exhausted anything. We've scratched the surface. We haven't done much. Maybe it's a conversation we'll have to continue for a while because we can see the war on the judiciary is still ongoing. This fight is not over for them. They still feel like
And this is not the kind of country that we wanted when we gave to ourselves this
For sure.
constitution in 2010.
But my people, you saw who you chose in previous election. Those are your people. They gave you, they sold you to car grants. Gosh, I'm starting a whole
Yeah.
story. As we conclude for the show, I know there's much that we haven't done. Maybe we will get back to expound a bit more and maybe get questions from guys on what they would want to learn more.
Yeah, dear listeners, please share your comments regarding this show and probably what you'd need us to highlight more, to discuss more regarding the judiciary on the next episode.
Think about this question that I have. I know you probably have an answer already, but I need you to think through before you answer it. Was it right for him to stay for 2 good years
with
without
the names, and
with
when
the
he
names?
appoints,
Yeah.
leaves out some 6.
Yeah, but don't answer now. Go have a detailed conversation about it when you ask, guys. Minimaliza. We are done for this episode, guys. I know we have left it hanging, but allow us. If we did it for an hour and a half, would you sit down and listen to it the whole time?
Not really.
We'll sumbua here Mr. Producer to do 2-part series and then sijui there'll be a whole background check to it. But either way, guys, I mean, it's always awesome having you guys listen to us, share with us.
Reach out to us. We're also on Twitter, by the way. I'm Elsie Candy, and you are?
Wait, checky, moving on
Charles.
swiftly. Today you have decided to just blast me on the show, but this is what happens when we haven't seen each other for a while, Yadi. Hey, it's shade galore. But yeah, last words for you.
Dear listeners, thank you so much. And actually, I'd really want to know what you think of this episode and what you need us to highlight more, what you need me to explain more about the Constitution and particularly about the judiciary.
Yeah.
Remember, like Timo put it during the last episode, that is our last. You put it
the last line of defense.
Our last line of defense, because if it's gone, then we are done for.
Yeah.
And our sovereign power will be forgotten.
It won't be for the people anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one.